Hi, I'm Leah Simpson, and I would love to have a conversation with you on some ideas on how to school from home while we're in quarantine, or like we like to call it around here, hibernating. So if you are finding yourself, like most of us are, at home with children, and maybe you have school that is going to be your responsibility, as almost every school is going online for the rest of the semester, I thought I'd like to give you a couple of ideas from my experience of schooling at home for 25 years. This is actually the very end of my homeschool journey, and I have 5 kids, and school has been a big part of our lives. And I will say sometimes it's easy and a lot of times it's not. So I want to give you some really practical ideas on how to think about it, how to get ready for it, and to implement it. So first of all, you have to get started. And the first thing I would suggest is take some time to speak with your husband if you are married, or if you're working with your mom on this, perhaps, if it's your responsibility, whoever you're partnering with in the homeschool journey in your home, or schooling at home, I should say, journey. It's important to just kind of get on the same page, talk through maybe your expectations, what you think is going to be great about it, what might be hard about it, even discussing the children involved specifically, things that you know might be coming. And I think it's important to have that time of preparation before you really just jump in. It's important to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. For example, let's say that you are a person like me who likes to make lists, and you want everything really orderly, or perhaps you expect it to be like the classroom setting that your children have been in. That is an expectation that's probably not going to be met, because it's going to be very different than that. So you want to meet it with organization, but also flexibility and the expectation that you're going to make changes as you go along. If your personality is bent toward play, that's great. And you may think, oh, I'm not organized, but I like to play. Well, go with the play, be glad that you are playful, but work on the organizing. So whatever your strengths are, celebrate those, figure out how they work for you, but also realize that the part that you know is your weakness as a parent is also going to be hard for you when you are schooling from home. So just think about those things, recognize what is easy and what is going to be challenging. Also, look at your child's weaknesses and your child's strengths in the same way. If your child is very disciplined and organized, you may have an advantage because you will not have to guide and push from behind in order to get the schoolwork done that's required from your school. And if your child is not that way, they may have more fun doing some of the school, but they're going to have a difficult time getting everything done in the time frame allotted. So if you think ahead about your strengths and weaknesses and your child's strengths and weaknesses, and you have a conversation with the other adult who is responsible for the children, it will just set you in a better pattern. Also, I would just say ease into this new routine a little slowly. Don't just hit it really hard. For example, if you have the ability to do this, go ahead and start school in half days, maybe for about a week, and school early, start around maybe 8 o'clock, school till noon or 1, and then do something that's playful, because we're all experiencing challenges as these changes are coming quickly. So keep in mind that your children feel a little bit stressed or confused, maybe in the same way that you feel. So give them some grace in the schedule as well. Start off a little slow, and that way your routines will probably work out better. Next, I'd like to talk about the whole child. This is a concept that I teach about. Some of the talks that I have on the whole child are some of the talks that people are most interested in. And it's just a concept of really taking time to put on paper your child in all the different areas in which your child will be able to grow. For example, you may think that when you are schooling a child from home, the main concern is their academics. And while that is definitely important and maybe a prominent thought, you also need to take into consideration all the parts of the child. For example, their spiritual development, their physical situation. For example, you are the adult in the house and you're responsible for your child getting enough sleep, whatever that means. You are also responsible for the schedule, and you need to plan in exercise because, as we all know, when we've been working hard at a desk, we need to get up and down some. Maybe every 30 to 45 minutes, we need to stand up, exercise, stretch, and periodically we need to get a snack. I mean, we need to make it fun and plan those sort of things in. Also social. So your children are social, whether they are introverted or extroverted. They need time to interact with others outside of the home, maybe with a phone call or a video call. So keep that in mind. Communicate with your children about some of their friends that they miss, and do what you can to communicate appropriately with them so they're not as sad about missing them from school. One thing you will probably need to know when considering your child in their wholeness is you need to think about, what do you know about your child in reference to test? Have you been aware that your child is strong in some areas? Well, pursue those areas. Find ways to help them grow even faster in the areas that they're interested in and that they're strong in. Perhaps you have a child that has an IEP. That is something you are probably aware of if your child has one, and you need to recognize what is on that and plan your academic goals for your child with those things in mind. I would think in most cases the teachers are very involved, the teachers in the school setting that your children have come out of before going into this quarantine period. And in most cases I think they're very eager to see that you are a parent on board. So just communicate with them and find out from them what they think what your child's strengths would be and what their weaknesses would be, and plan accordingly. If they have, I would just like to say this, if they have remedial issues, this is really a gift of time for you in reference to your child. Let's say that they have trouble with spelling. Well, you can tackle spelling first thing in the day, and even do some additional things because, well, we don't have time limits, we don't have the bell ringing, and we don't have to change classes. So we can really focus on helping our child to grow to be their best self. And that's really what it's all about as a parent, if we love our children, is we want our children to be their best self. So if your child has an area of remedial need, give some real thought to how you can help them in this time where we have a break. And hopefully when you look back on this time, you will feel really positive about what you have accomplished with them at home in the schooling part of the day. Determine the requirements of the school that they're coming out of. Obviously, it's important to know the big picture. Figure out what lesson are they on? How many lessons do they have to do? What is the goal that your school setting is requiring of your student and of you as a parent? Know what's expected. Educational and learning styles, I think this is also important. One of the benefits of interacting with your child in this way is that you'll be able to see, do they learn by listening? Do they learn by writing? Do they learn, are flashcards great for them? Is Quizlet a way that they memorize? Do they love to listen to a story and then repeat it back? Is that how they are taking in reading comprehension, by listening to the story that they should also be reading? If you pay attention, this could be a wonderful time for you to really get to know your child better and to discover what they're really great at, and also to be able to help them in the ways that you observe that they are learning. So don't miss that in this time that you're able to observe. I would also tell anyone who would ask that it would be very positive to start with the hardest things first in the day. Make sure you have a morning routine and that your children are ready, just like they would if they were going to school, that they're dressed, they've had breakfast, they've made their bed, brushed their teeth and hair, and they are ready. That's how we have always done school. You'll find that they are more accomplished in their academics if they look like they are ready to go to school. And I would say don't require shoes or anything like that, but if they wear their house slippers to school at home, that's all good. But in general, take some time to get ready for the day and to start with the things that they find that are hard. Also, this is a great time for more reading. I really don't know of any child that is in any school setting that wouldn't benefit from more reading. So take this time to be purposeful in your reading. If you are a parent that is a very involved parent, there are probably some books on your shelves that you have enjoyed as a child or that you think are important for your child to read. Now's the time. I mean, this is a gift in that way. You can say, hey, we're going to read this out loud together, or hey, come sit on, if it's a small child, come sit on my lap, and mom's going to read a chapter a day. This book, it's one of my favorites from when I was young. So it's a time to build a relationship with the child, make memories. Reading is a great memory making time. Just plan that. I would also just encourage you to pick some of the books that you want your child to read. Don't be careless in that. If you just let your kids read fiction that is fluff, it really doesn't do anything other than pass the time. Sometimes it's going to have a negative effect on them. So use this time to pick from reading list, having a reading basket. Try to purchase books that you think are important for your child to read in addition to those that the school is asking for them to read, and just make reading a big deal. You might even come up with a way to encourage them. I know one summer I wanted my kids to read a group of books, and I had a lot of kids at home at that time, all 5 of them in school, and I gave them prizes for the books that they finished. So, hey, prizes could be a snack. Prizes could be something that's an activity that they want to do. So you think of what motivates your child. Determine what the carrot of your child, the carrot that your child would have, what's their motivator, and build some motivation that way. You may have the opportunity to select the curriculum that may already be predetermined by the school that your child is attending, and you may just need to try to complete everything they're sending you. And maybe that's really all that you can do. But if you have extra time, this might be a time to improve on their handwriting, to maybe work on geography. You could do that by watching videos about different countries, or you could also do art or music and think about the things that you know how to do well. Maybe you're a great carpenter. Maybe you're fabulous with gardening. Maybe you're a great cook. All the things that you are as a mom or as a dad, those are things that your kids would enjoy learning with you if you spend time with them and just make it look exciting for them. Writing is another thing to work on. Take time to edit. You've got time. Hey, goodness, we've got so much time, right? Work on editing. Perhaps if you think that's a problem area for them, look at a program that would help and run through a small course with them during this time. Do what's required of you. I said, you know, as your school, but requires, look at what they required, fill those needs first and do those things. But maybe if you know that your child has some reading and writing gaps, here's the time to take care of it. Word lists are always a positive. It's a great thing to build their vocabulary. Science, well, I think science and history, which are the next 2 things I want to tell you about, are places that you can have a lot of fun. You can order STEM kits. You can order activities to do outside. You can give them a magnifying glass. Any age child will benefit from that. History is so much fun. You can read stories that are historical fiction. You can buy books that have to do with times of history. You can kind of work through a big book, work through smaller books. Audio books, if your child struggles with reading, don't focus so much on the physical books. Work toward getting books on Audible, things that they can do. Let's say they like to play Lego, they like to build things with Connects. Have them build or do things with their hands while they're listening to a story. And really, they have still read a book, even if they've listened to them on tape. You might be able to get those through your library. I know our church library has some of those books, and I have 3 favorite places to acquire audiobooks for our family. One would be Lamplighter Theater. Another one would be Focus on the Family. Anything that they have done has been done with such excellence. Les Mis is my personal favorite from them. And Odyssey, if you just buy Odyssey stories, your kids will be very quiet. You can have lots of quiet time. We took a trip that required 86 hours of driving time. I'm not kidding you. And I had way more hours of Odyssey stories than the hours we were driving, and it was wonderful. So just if you haven't found out about Odyssey stories, you will love them. Your kids will love them too. All right, preschoolers, I want to talk about this for a minute because I know a lot of people they have little ones and they have older ones, and the family is a combination of different age children. And if you have preschoolers, you may be thinking, oh great, little ones, and I'm trying to school my older ones. This is so complicated. Yes, it is so complicated. So give yourself some grace as you try to figure that out. I had 4 children in 5 years. So I had preschoolers along for the schooling day for many, many years. Some of the things that I found that work are taking the toys that we had for their age group and putting them in 5 different boxes. So you have a Monday box, a Tuesday box, a Wednesday box, a Thursday box, and a Friday box. Many people, and maybe this applies to your family, have a lot of toys. So this is a time to separate out the toys into different boxes. And so the idea is that you would say during school time on Monday, I'm going to pull out the Monday box, and the preschooler who is in a confined area with you can play with the toys that are available on Monday. And then they all go back in the box and they're not available until the next Monday. And you may think that they will miss the toys, and that's actually true. And you may find too that they will play with the toys more because they're divided into boxes and they have restricted play time. So it really keeps them interested if they're toys that they don't always have access to outside of school hours. If you are a person of faith, I would highly encourage you to use this time for scripture memory, even with the little ones, the older ones. You know, little people have an advantage over all the rest of us because they can learn scriptures so quickly. They are in the time of life where they like repetition. You can use this time to help them memorize scripture and to just learn to pray together. So little people are just so much fun. If you think about it that way, it works out a lot better. There's a book that I really would highly recommend. If you've never heard of it, you will find it to be such a joy. It is called 5 in a Row, and it's where you take really high quality books and you do that book. For example, my favorites would be Ping, and it was a little duck, and it's from an Asian story, and Ping is a little duck that goes up a ramp, and it's a cute little story. Anyway, you read the book 5 days in a row. So let's say you're going to do Monday through Friday. On Monday you read the book, maybe you talk about the art in the book. Tuesday you read the book and you talk about the family relationships in the book. And maybe on Wednesday you read the book again and you do things like counting the different parts of, like, I know there's one place where there's how many ripples in the water, how many ducks are on that page, so forth. And the book has all of this work done for you. So it usually has about 7 different categories where you could read the book and do that category. So that book series is called 5 in a Row, and you might find some of those books at the library, or if you want, if your library is something you can't access right now, obviously you might order those used, or you might just order them new if you can. Some of them are also available to read visually online on our public library system. So you just have to investigate that and find out where they're located. All right, quality art and stories. I'd like to encourage you to give your kids an opportunity to do Play-Doh and just think through all the things that you enjoyed as a child. Maybe these things that you did in art were at school. Maybe they were at church and Sunday school. Maybe your mom was a really fun art person, so you can remember some things. But if you really don't have a lot of ideas, they are everywhere. You can just Google supplies what kind of art to do with buttons, what kind of art to do with finger paint, this sort of thing. Pinterest is full of ideas. If you're fortunate to have a mom that you know that you can network with, she'll probably be able to help you. Just call her or email her and see where she can direct you. Tactical activities. If you have preschoolers, you really probably need tactical activities. Some of these activities are available online under educational resources. For example, if you have little people, it's very important to help them do things like sort blocks into color groups and shape groups. You can also encourage them to lace blocks in certain patterns. For example, you'd have a string, and then you'd lace the round red block or the blue square block, this sort of thing. There's so many activities for preschoolers. Find out where they are and plan tactical activities for your preschoolers while you're trying to do school at home with your other ones. I would encourage a confined space. For example, if you have little ones, you know you probably need gates to keep them safe. And wherever you are schooling your older ones, you will be glad if you have some kind of way to keep them where you can see them. Otherwise, you'll be hopping up and down. If you don't currently have gates, you might just use chairs, anything. Think of what you have in your home that you can use and just make sure you can find them. That really usually makes things better. If you have a magnifying glass at your house, this is a great thing to give to little people. There's lots of non-breakable magnifying glasses online if you don't have one at home. And give them this magnifying glass maybe once a week or twice a week in one of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday Friday boxes, and have them draw what they see with the magnifying glass. Especially if you go outside, give everybody a magnifying glass. It's just really fun. And I don't know that everyone thinks of that. I didn't. I had to read about that. And when I read about it, it was something I always did. Another area, contributions. I won't go into this in depth because I've written about it on my blog and also in my books. And it is just the idea that we are training the children that live in our home to work together as a team. We all live in the house. We all do things that make the house dirty and needing to be cleaned. And if you think ahead, all of these kids are going to be adults. And so I know this little funny word that's going around with the millennials or the older college kids that I have is the idea of adulting, which is really a funny word, right? If you're in our age group, that is a kind of a funny word, but it means that you're ready to do adult behavior and adult responsibilities. So think of how skilled you want your children to be when they leave your home. Teach them to clean the kitchen. For example, identify age-appropriate chores and activities and contributions. I'm going to tell you there's a list in my book. I have two books that I've written. One is Nurturing My Nest. And in this book, it's actually on page 85. There's a list of chores, personal chores, and family chores that a 2- and 3-year-old should be able to do. For example, a 2- and 3-year-old, if you have some of those at your house, they should be able to make their own bed. They should be able to pick up their toys without your supervision. They should be able to take their dirty laundry to the laundry basket. They should be able to fill the pet's water and food bowls with supervision, of course. And they should also be able to help parents clean up spills and dirt, and they should be able to dust. So that's just a few things on 2- and 3-year-olds. Let's say you've got a child that is age 6 or 7. They should be able to personal chores, make their bed every day, brush their teeth, comb their hair, choose the outfit for the day, get dressed, write thank you notes without supervision. Family chores, they should be able to be responsible for a pet's food, water, and exercise. They should be able to vacuum individual rooms, mop, fold their laundry with supervision, put their laundry away in drawers and closets. Yes, they are very capable of that. It worked at even a younger age for my children. So if your kids aren't doing that yet, wow, there's just a list of stuff. Empty the dishwasher, empty indoor trash cans, so much here. And so this list is one of the favorite things that people want to discuss when I share about home and family. And so if you have younger people at your house, figure out how you're going to make this a team effort and really think about this. On the other side of this, you can keep working together as a team and doing these age-appropriate contributions. Celebrate the progress. Let's say you're starting from not having this in place and they begin to do things, but maybe not quite as well as you would do them if you did it yourself. Your goal is to get it to the point where they can do it on their own. So you want to celebrate what they are able to do correctly. The first thing you do is show them how to do it, and then to sit nearby and watch them do the contribution while you supervise verbally. And I would just say ongoing, you have to inspect what you expect. That means before you start breakfast, it's a good thing to do, right? Everyone's going to want breakfast. Go and make sure all the beds are made and the towels are hung up. Whatever you've expected, go and check and inspect and make sure it's done. And that will save you frustration on the other side. Routine is very important. If you're going to be schooling from home, you probably need to have a routine because they're going to need to get up and get ready. I mean, you can't just stay up late like it's a party every night, right? Or you are not going to feel ready to do schooling at home, and they are certainly not going to be ready to do schooling at home. I know that my routine was always 7 o'clock in the morning is when we would get up. I'm always up ahead of that, but you can give yourself grace, move that back an hour, however you want to work it. Make a plan and work in the plan and make sure it's consistent. Personal goals, family goals, and how they can contribute to being a team in the house. Hopefully this is a good family building time for you. And I know it's maybe something that seems hard, but if you think about it as an opportunity to make some memories and pick up some new skills, and you think about how it will benefit you on the other side of this season, you can come up with some cheery thoughts. Networking, I would say reach out to friends and people online that have been in this journey for a long time with schooling, and reach out to your teachers, the teachers that teach your children all the time. See if they can help you if you run into a snag. Say, hey, I'm noticing we're running into a problem here. Do you see that happening at school when my child is in your class? Appreciate your teachers. They are in as much transition as you are. Work with them and try to do things as they're asking, and just listen to them and appreciate them, and just give them a lot of love. So resources, back to this, resources, there's resources for all sorts of things. If you find a snag in your child's background of learning, find a way that you can help them catch up and to be better when everything goes back to normal. Organize the space that they're going to work in. This is also important. You may have to rearrange furniture. I will admit, I have already been rearranging furniture in my house as I anticipate this season of hibernation. And so you want to organize your house so that you will be able to school on a daily basis. Really, it's as simple as your table. Really think about a basket or a box, or even a tote bag if you prefer, for your child to organize all of their school things and their supplies, maybe their pencils and pens, calculators, whatever they're going to need to do the job right. Kind of gather that up and keep that together in some way. Make sure that you clear the area as soon as you finish school and put those things away so that you can now go to family time or meal time. That's always important. Now, I don't know if you've thought about this, but I was thinking about this the other day. For all the years I've homeschooled, we have never done homework, okay? That's just not something that as homeschoolers we normally do. Now, I would guess that if you were in a traditional school setting, you've probably had homework as a consistent thing. So here is a moment of gladness for you. You will probably have no homework if you are schooling from home. So if that has been a difficulty in the past, it is a gift. You probably don't have any homework for the rest of the season. You're just going to be schooling at home during school hours and no homework. So you may not have thought about that yet, but that's a really good positive. Now, as you can see, I have Sophie here on my lap, and that is another positive about schooling from home. If you have pets, you might think they might have conspired to make this happen because they love hanging out with the family. And if you take a look at either one of my books, you'll see there's pets on the books and pets everywhere. So if you have pets at your house, this is a really good thing. You have no idea how happy they are to have their family home all the time. I am sure that they are going to enjoy this schooling from home maybe better than anyone in the house. So in closing, I would encourage you to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself physically, get enough rest, maybe pull away on a consistent basis and have quiet time. If you are an introvert and you're used to more quiet time, you may have to just pay attention to that and really go outside, sit on the patio, just spend time in a separate part of the house getting some quiet. Everyone needs quiet, so it's a good thing to build into your schedule. Also, I would also encourage you to take care of the relationship you have with your husband, because he is your main team player. If you're watching this and you are the husband, take care of your wife. You guys need to be on the same page. And use this time to have some dates, put the kids to bed early. Remember those audiobooks I mentioned earlier? If you have a good supply of audiobooks, you can put on an audiobook and have some time just together. So Yeah. Anyway, spend some time just nurturing the relationships that you have at home. Make memories. Make some good memories. Perhaps you were like me and as you were gathering food, you thought to get some things that were just really fun foods. Like for us, it would clearly be ice cream. Ice cream is a great thing. So make some memories, eat some fun foods, and have some fun. And just be glad that you have this time together to spend more time with your family. And just remember all the reasons why it's great that you could be together. And I'm Leah Simpson with Nurturing My Nest, all things home and family.